Welcome to the world of survival horror. When your movie has so many nods and references to the source material, why would you change it so drastically? Like a pebble thrown into a pond, Raccoon City's demise is so impactful, its ripples are felt throughout the series, being mentioned in just about every game that precedes it, and when similar devastating instances happen, such as Terra Grigia, it's always Raccoon City that's referred back to. Therefore, getting its fall is absolutely paramount. Resident Evil is a multi-billion franchise, and with its 8 mainline titles plus spin-off games under its belt, it's got a very loyal and dedicated fanbase. However, not everyone plays video games, and so sticking to one format is alienating a large selection of your potential audience. With such a huge fandom, turning the games into films seems like a surefire hit. After all, you're going to be bringing all of your existing audience who will want to see their favourite characters and locations come to life on the big screen, and then open up your franchise to people who have never played the games. But making games and making films are two different processes. Welcome to Raccoon City doesn't just focus on the city. By wanting to mix both the iconic STARS unit and the destruction of the city itself, they're combining two separate stories. Essentially, games Resident Evils 1 and 2. Both games have strong narratives, and both games have strong cast. Films have much shorter runtime, and so having to cut content in order to make it all fit for game adaptations can be easy. Nobody wants to watch the heroes running back and forth, unlocking doors and getting frustrated when they can't work out a stupid water puzzle. So the story in the film can be tightened up, and all of the padding in the games can be cut out. The film does make some use of these, with subtle nods by showing the keys and other little references. So far so good. The problem with film adaptation is that it'll have a team of writers and a director that will want to add their own flair to the story. Now at certain points this could work really well. You can add personality to the characters, give them little nuances, and especially with Resident Evil, the dialogue is well known not to be the best.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
So it's a great opportunity to flesh them out. However, taking too many liberties is where things start to deviate from the source material. The writers or directors might not have played the games that they're recreating for the big screen. In an interview with Game Informer, director Johannes Roberts said that I sort of came into the game franchise as a watcher of it rather than a player. There are two main problems with Welcome to Raccoon City, and that's the story and the characters. You're probably thinking, well, that's all of it then, and in a way, you would be right. The story, both Resident Evil 1 and 2 have great individual stories. Resident Evil 1 set in the mansion and is all about discovery and betrayal. As the team works their way through the mansion, more and more of the story is pieced together until you find out it's the big pharmaceutical company Umbrella that's really creating bioweapons. In Resident Evil 2, set a few months after the end of Resident Evil 1, the virus created by Umbrella escapes from a secret lab located within the city. This ends up turning the entire population of Raccoon City into the Walking Dead, before the US government detonates a thermonuclear device to literally wipe the city and all its inhabitants off the map, and so it's more of a story of survival. Both are self-contained stories, but both are connected by Umbrella and the virus. Within the opening dialogue of the film, we're told that Umbrella has moved out of the city, leaving it a former shell of its previous self, probably due to the budget of the film and they couldn't afford to recreate an entire city falling to the virus. Understandable, but if they'd stuck more closely to the game, it's the police station that's the main focus and the city just provides a backdrop. As a lover of the game, I already know that Umbrella should be the ones who are evil, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're portrayed on the big screen, but straight away I'm told they pretty much won't be in it as they're no longer present. I mean, come on, seriously? Although they were never seen, their presence is always felt. You knew they controlled the city and its inhabitants. The first 3 Resident Evil games are the best in the series, and this is because it's survival horror. In fact, it's a term coined by the games themselves. Put simply, you the player are trying to survive the horror. You have found yourself in a nightmare situation and you're trying to escape. From Resident Evil 4 onwards, it's all about taking the action to them, but that's for another video. The point I'm making is that only the trip to the mansion in the film do you get that sense of dread, but then they won't make that ultimate mistake. However, I'll come back to that in just a moment. It could be that I'm looking at it from a gamer's perspective, and when you see them entering the mansion you expect them to go left, a dining room. I hope that's not Chris's blood.
A dining room. Blood. Let's just hope it's not Chris's.
But they don't. Or when wandering around a deserted police station, seeing the barricades of a battle that happened only 24 hours ago, and in both instances thinking how on earth you're going to survive this horror. I feel myself getting more and more frustrated they're not doing these iconic moments, although I did like that head turning scene. I was thankful for that. Everything is chopped and condensed, and it takes away what made the games great in the first place. But I am torn. On one hand, I miss seeing these moments, on the other hand, do I want a complete recreation of the games in film version? However, I do think by sticking to one location, they could have really nailed it down, the mystery of the Spencer Mansion or the beauty of the police station. And what we get instead is loose locations, although you can see that they've used the remake for set inspiration, and when that's not possible, they just turn the lights out. I must admit, I'm glad that they put in the piano scene too. Characters were also a letdown. This is where the writers could have really gone to town, but instead of drawing on their established personalities and giving them more depth than the games ever could, they completely change them. Leon, now instead of being a rookie cop striving to uphold the law and save everyone he comes into contact with.
What was that all about? Running off like that was reckless and stupid. As an officer, it's my job to look out for you. But we're not going to get through this alive if we don't work together, okay?
Is now a bumbling idiot. Jill, whose once strong sense of justice is now just some crazy gun nut. And Wesker, the greatest villain in the Resident Evil franchise, is nice. How can you get Wesker so wrong? Through the games you're always thinking there was something off about him. I mean, come on, it's dark and he's wearing sunglasses. But that heel turn at the end of the game, that's a true villain. Yet in the film he's just getting along with his team and making a little money on the side. So frustrating. Chief Irons was another character that wasn't done justice. In the game he's working for Umbrella, thinking that he runs the town.
But I'm not letting anyone leave my town! Everyone's gonna die!
Calm down, Chief. What happened?
Shut up! You couldn't possibly understand what's happened. Those monsters from Umbrella have destroyed my beautiful town.
But you just don't see that on screen, and it all comes down to them trying to cram too much in when there isn't enough screen time. Lisa Trevor was another character, completely changed and made redundant. If you want her in the film, then do it properly. As it is, there's really no point to her. Birkin's G mutation was pretty impressive and a joy to see, but it doesn't make up for not having Mr. X or Nemesis. These two are iconic tyrants and they're just nowhere to be seen. It's not all doom and gloom. It does have some great nods to the game, and it does stick more closely to the games than Paul Anderson's series. And is it worth a watch? Absolutely, but do so with an open mind. Mashing two games together to make one film was a mistake, but as I said earlier, it wasn't the ultimate mistake. This is just unforgivable. How could they miss out one of the greatest characters in the whole franchise? The man with the most epic lines in the game. Where is Barry? Resident Evil Outbreak shows the start of the actual T-Virus as it sweeps through Raccoon City, and I have 10 facts about the game you might not know, and that's on screen now, so go watch that next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.